Have you ever reached a goal you thought that would finally change your life, but only to realize that next morning feels just the same? That's because the greatest illusion of all is that achievement is also fulfillment. But the truth is, success without alignment always fails. We are living in the most advantageous age humanity has ever known. We have more education, more opportunities, and more wealth, and more achievement also than our previous generations. From skyscrapers to space travel, from artificial intelligence to medical miracles, we have reached extraordinary heights. And yet, despite all this progress, people feel unfulfilled. They look successful on the outside, but inside they feel incomplete. This raises a question. If achievement has reached new heights, why has fulfillment not kept the pace? Why do people who appear successful on the outside are still restless on the inside? From childhood, most of us are handed the same formula of success: work hard, study well, get a degree, get a job, climb the ladder, buy the house, earn the money, and collect titles. That's what means to be successful. And yes, these things do matter. They provide stability, recognition, and growth. But here's the trap: achievement is not same as fulfillment. Success is taught as a checklist: education, career, money, recognition. But success without alignment, decorating a house on the foundation which is cracked, is just the same as success without alignment. It is beautiful on the outside, but it can collapse anytime. And many live like this, feeling successful in the eyes of others, but restless, tired, or disconnected inside. So, what creates alignment? It comes down to actually five dimensions of life. One of them being career and purpose. It's not about the job or the role on paper, it's about whether the work you do feels meaningful to you, whether it reflects who you are. You can climb the ladder of success, but if that ladder is not leaning against the right wall, you will feel heavier. Work that connects to purpose doesn't just pay your bills, it fuels your energy. I remember meeting someone who was admired by all, he was paid highly, but every Sunday in the evening he would dread going to the Monday morning office. His career gave him recognition, but it drained his spirit because purpose was missing. Then there's relationship as another dimension to it. It's not about just your loving bonds or your love relationships. It's about everyday connections with friends, with family, and your colleagues. Because we tend to forget that we spend most of our time with our colleagues, the people who surround us. Are those bonds supportive or are they draining you? Do they bring trust, laughter, or belonging, or are they just leaving you feeling empty? Relationships are invisible wealth of life. Without them, achievement feels like trophies in an empty room. There was a man who once told me, I have everything I wanted in life, except someone to share it with. On holidays, he would sit alone while his friends used to celebrate their time with their families. And that loneliness cut him deeper than any failure he had ever had. So, moving on to another dimension, that is wealth. Wealth does not mean accumulating finances, accumulating cash, but it is the financial freedom. Learning to save wisely, investing well, and building multiple sources of income. You're not stuck in the cycle where you are working just for your needs and you cannot move out of it. Money, if managed well, it becomes a support that choices. Money, when managed well, it becomes a tool that supports your choices instead of a chain that limits them. Real wealth is the freedom to step out of survival mode and design a life on same. I once spoke to a woman who earned a huge salary, lived in a luxury house, looked successful on the outside, but every month she was struggling to pay her bills. She was in debts, and that is all that was taking her energy. She wasn't free. Meanwhile, there was another person whom I knew who earned less than her. But because he had managed his funds very well, he used to spend time with his family, travel, and enjoy his life. That is true wealth. Freedom, not pressure. Then there is health and well being. Your body, your emotions, your energy. This is the foundation of everything. Too often, people sacrifice health in the pursuit of success, only to discover later that without well being, even the greatest milestones feel pretty hollow. Energy is the real currency. Without it, even the simplest joys that we have tend to slip away. Because when we grow old, earning money throughout our life, we have a huge bank balance, but we tend to sacrifice our health for it. And we'll end up paying more and more whatever we earned for our health and well being. A successful entrepreneur once said to me, I won awards. I built the business, but what good is it? I'm always too exhausted to enjoy. Success had cost him his health, and suddenly it didn't feel like success at all to him. And last, but most important, is self, your relationship to your own self. This is most ignored, yet it's most powerful. It is the way you talk to yourself when nobody else is listening. The thought that loops inside your mind, the overthinking pattern that you have, are they lifting you up or are they tearing you down? Are they helping you grow or holding you back? The relationship that you have with yourself quietly shapes everything else in your life. You need to learn to accept who you are and not depend on what people expect out of you. But it's not only about the thoughts, it's also about the care and the love you give yourself in practice every day. The time you protect to do things for yourself, not your duties, not your obligations, not for anybody else, but for yourself. It could be reading, it could be painting, it could be just a walk in the garden. Simple sitting in silence is also something that you do for yourself. These are not luxuries, they are the fuel for your spirit. I once met a businessman who had actually a large empire. One, on the outside, he was a definition of success, true success that you would see, anybody would feel, yes, he was successful. But in the process, what had he done? He had left things that were important to him, like playing guitar, going on yearly treks, which brought life to him. But over the years, to build an empire, he left them and he lost who he was to a day where he could not recognize, he could not say what he liked because his life was a routine of meetings, duties, and routines that he was following. Then I also knew a mom who had given everything to her family and work. She was respected, admired, and responsible. But one day she admitted she no longer knew who she was. Beyond those roles, she had lost her identity. She did not know what she liked. She knew what everybody else around her liked. So she lost herself, only to find one day not knowing who she was, but knowing everybody else around her. Whether it's a businessman or a parent or any one of us, the cost of neglecting the self is always the same. You lose touch with who you really are. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it is the foundation that makes everything else possible. Here's the key: if one of these dimensions is neglected, fulfillment begins to leak. That's what happens when success is defined by external trophies. It looks shiny, it looks very impressive, but the crack of misalignment eventually shows. In broken relationships, in health that begins to suffer, in quiet moments of emptiness that whisper, is that all to life there is? And this is where another truth comes in. Success should not be and does not mean the same thing for everyone. Success is a personal definition, not what society tells you it should be, not what friends and family expect it to be. To live a fulfilled life, you need to decide for yourself, what does success mean to me? Your definition of success will change. What mattered at 20 may not matter to you at 40. What matters to you today will not matter to you tomorrow also. That's why you need to keep revisiting the definition of your success. We need to check in with ourselves time and again so that our idea of success continues to serve the life that we actually are living. So the real question is not what more I can achieve. The real question is where do I need alignment? Ask yourself what is your personal mix of these five dimensions: career, relationship, wealth, health, and self. What makes you feel fulfilled? There can be a different ratio for different people. Somebody prefers career more. Yes, at 20, that is your priority. But by the time you come at 40, maybe your family is taking a front seat. Because alignment doesn't begin with chasing the next milestone, it begins with sealing the leak, realigning that crack, protecting what makes this feel fulfilled. Remember the man I told you about, the one who had everything yet felt empty? His story is not rare. It's a mirror, a reminder that achievement without alignment cannot hold. So when you find yourself wondering the next time, why does my success feel empty even after I've achieved the goals? Just pause. There is answer in alignment. Find the mix. Where is the leak? The answer to your unfulfilled success is more alignment. Because success without alignment fails. But with alignment, success transforms into fulfillment.